Hi then, guys. Right, what's it time for today? That was cringe. That was very cringe. Today, I'm talking about coaster trains, because why not? They make a big difference on the... Yeah, they make a big difference on the ride. Do I need to explain this? I mean, the difference between... Yeah, volleys are terrible. Guys, Hero is bad. Can I have a medal? Trains make a difference. Anyway, I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk about. So, over the past 30 years or so, what I'm going to be covering in this video, trains have changed quite a lot. Generally, they've kind of got more open and roomy and less clunky, but there are exceptions to that. That's generally the direction they've moved in, and restraints have got better for the most part anyway. Yeah. So, about 30 years ago, all the Arrows and Vekomas had terrible trains. Well, they weren't terrible, they were just not very good. They were tight, enclosed, the restraints weren't great. They were very low on the track, actually, and they just weren't great. They weren't amazing, but they weren't great. And then the big thing that came along to change that was B&M, because they came along. I mean, actually, I say that, they made stand-up. They started off making stand-up coasters, which, I mean, the trains are terrible. They were more open. They probably innovated quite a bit with that. I don't really know much about stand-up coasters. But yeah, when they started making the sit-down coasters, trains got a bit more open, and yeah, you had to do a little bit less of climbing into it in an awful... Oh, yeah. It meant you didn't have to climb into them. So that was good. And then, in 1999, they made some very big changes to their coasters, and this is when I think the kind of modern design of coaster train came into first use for B&M making this, because in 1999 they debuted two types of trains, the hyper trains and the flawless trains. Yes, I am praising B&M, that's unlike me, but bearing in mind this is 20 years ago we're on now, so shut up. So in that year we got the hypers and the flawless, we got a flawless... We got the first hyper, the first flawless. The first flawless was, I don't have a clue. Medusa at some park. I haven't got it written down, so I'm not going to look into it. It was Medusa. I think it's a Six Flags. Shut up. The first one was Medusa in 1999. First flawless coaster. And the reason I think this is where the modern coaster trains kind of came in is because these are flawless coasters, and that ended the trains being like this enclosed thing you climb into. Why am I on this? Why am I talking about this? That was not funny, it just came out cringe, and I've made that joke before. So anyway, they came a lot more open. And the main point here is that the seats kind of became separate to the train. You've got kind of a base of the train at the bottom where all the mechanisms are, and then you've got the standalone seats. And for the rider, the only part of the train they really... You're just in a seat on a platform, basically. As well as that, they debuted first hypercoaster and Apollo's Chariot, which had, again, these kind of trains with... They're a lot more open. They weren't flawless, but they were kind of... Again, it was just a platform with seats on, with the mechanisms and stuff underneath. I haven't done a B&M Hyper, but the restraints look very good, because the seats are quite big and nice, and the restraints just very minimal, and it looks like you get hella airtime. Oh, that was so cringe. Anyway, so B&M did some good stuff in 1999. And what else happened in the 90s? So, Arrow began to become bankrupt. Yeah, let's not talk about that. But the other main manufacturer at the time... when did Schwarzkopf go? Oh, I don't care. Yeah, so then Vekoma decided to they made SLCs, right? That they went, yeah, they got a lot worse. B&M made it a lot better. Vekoma managed to make a device which might as well just turn their head into a hammer. Yeah. So then the next decade came along in the 2000s, and Intamin did a very good thing. I don't know when T-bars were first used, but they made T-bars, and I'm not gonna bore you. T-bars are good. I've said this before. They're good, alright? They're very good. You get lots of airtime. And these are very good trains. They were open. They came on lots of hypercoasters, mega coasters, that kind of ride. And they were pretty much perfect. They had a few problems with fat people. And then instead of fixing them or whatever, the fat people won. We went from having these very good trains to the ones on Colossus. Oh dear. Luckily they didn't keep making the ones on Colossus because they realised that they were terrible. And yeah, and then they started making the OTSRs with the weird bulky bar, the hard plastic ones and all of that. And then they replaced it with the colour. Those restraints, I mean, they're quite bad. They're not atrocious. They're just quite bad. They kill any airtime. Yeah, to be fair, they are pretty terrible, actually. And if Rita didn't have them, it would be a lot better.
Oh, guys, Rita's really bad.
So yeah, they were still bad, and they continued to use them for a while. On a very select few coasters, I think they are needed, like some of the more whippy Intamin blitzes, but I mean, I say that, but Taron is very whippy and it gets on fine, although they were trying to attempt some pretty insane things like Maverick's Heartline roll. They did need them on Intimidator free. They were very needed on Intimidator 305 though, because apparently they're there so that when you have a blackout, you don't break your neck when you lean forward. Around that time, wood coasters made a bit of a change. I mean, from like the 90s, PTC pretty much made all the trains for everything, and then in the Millennium Flyers came along, and they're very good. The main thing about these was that they could articulate a lot, so they could make much tighter turns, and the restraint's very good, although you do have to lift it up. You do get lots of airtime though. But they're bad because they're designed to max out at 0G, so you don't get any ejector. Because RMC do it perfectly, don't they? Because yeah, why did I say that? That wasn't relevant at all. Yeah, so they went from PTC to Millennium Flyer in the wood coasters, and also Timberliners, which are apparently very good, and they did innovate quite a lot. It comes down from the side, they're very comfy, although apparently they have a bit of an issue because they make the ride really rough for some reason. They're supposed to be really light, but it results in them shaking a lot. This isn't right. I'm actually making an informative video. Look at me go! So, I'm going to move into the current decade now. We started with Blue Fire. Yeah, Blue Fire was 2009. Shut up, alright, it's close enough. I say B&M started the kind of new trains, as in like the more open, but Mac started the revolution of having... The revolution? What am I on about? Mac influenced some good all the good trains that are around now. By that, I mean all the inverting coasters with flat bars. They started that with Blue Fire because that was very good, and it had those, and they were very comfy. Yeah, Mac's trains are very good, very comfy, very open. They're made with like holes in the seats to make the air go through so it feels fat. Nobody cares. Anyway, the next year RMC came along, but they didn't start making their own trains till a bit later because Gerstlauer did a big oopsie. So RMC, the best company, they just are the best, shut up, or they definitely were like towards the beginning of the tech. Anyway, they came along and made some terrible trains. It feels like you're stuck in a banana skin. What kind of analogy is that? That didn't make any sense. Yeah, they're very bad. I was on about trains becoming more open and turning into kind of a platform with seats on. RMC trains are not like that. They're quite cramped. You have to go down. They're very hard to step across when you need to put bags at the other side of the platform and stuff. But the main thing about them that's very bad is the restraint. As people say, yes, it's bad. But I don't think it's as bad as people say because I'm lucky and I'm skinny and I fit into it very well. Because they don't get tighter on you in the ride. That's what unlike Mac, because that's the thing that ruins them. They get tighter in the ride. Anyway, they don't get tighter in the ride, and you can, yes, the leg guard things are terrible, but you can use them to get more room if you're pushing it when they push the restraint on. Oh my god, this is getting so long. I need to keep going because I'm actually making an informative video. Come on, I can do this, Probably not very funny. RMC influenced people to make crazy airtime focus coasters. Oh, I did it again. And people thought, well, look at Mac. Well, they didn't think... Anyway, Mac's trains were good. Ride companies are making lots of rides with massive airtime. So now, we're getting rides with loads of ejector airtime and very comfy seats with lap bars. Currently, Intamin's trains are quite similar to Mac's. It's just a platform with an open seat and a lap bar that comes from over the top. Good compromise, makes the GP feel a bit safer and the enthusiasts get that hella airtime. Oh, I said that was cringe earlier, and I did it again. I'm not learning. Vekoma have made new trains, and they look quite good. I mean, they're still a bit kind of closed, and you have to climb down into them, and they have vest restraints, which aren't the best, but after how much Vekoma have changed recently, although their trains aren't amazing, they're alright. I'm not going to go into it because Vekoma are doing good things. Who aren't doing good things? Well, there's another company that I haven't mentioned in a while. It's B&M. So what have they done recently? They've ruined the vast majority of their coaster types because they put vest restraints on wing coasters and they thought it would be a good idea to put them on everything else. Now, I understand why, in a way, they put them on wing coasters, because when they have inverted drops, you get lots of hang time and they're made for that, and they are also needed on wing coasters because they have some weird lateral forces and stuff, and they thought that. And the reason I think they decided to move them from wing coasters to other coaster models is because they've probably done some sort of market research and interviewed people, because lots of the general public do say that they like vest restraints because it makes them feel comfy and stuff. That's the reason I think they've done it. They have ruined everything, though. I mean, they've ruined the drops on all the dive coasters by giving them no airtime, and the new ones with vest restraints they're making aren't any better than the ones they were making 25 years ago. Shut up. So before I end it, going into the future, what have we got? Infinity Flyers from GCI. Basically just GCI trains but with a thicker hydraulic lap bar, or at least the restraints are, like, for the rider they're very similar, but they're built for ejector because that's good. RMC Raptors, I don't know, they have weird kind of, the over the shoulder bit is a strap and then it has a bit of a lap bar at the bottom. It's apparently quite painful. I can see why though, because they have complete yeets. Like, Ride Force has posted the thing saying on the back of a Raptor you hit minus 1.9 Gs. On the T-Rex concept art, it has the one with the current RMC restraints with the annoying ankle guard things. I don't know if that's what they're actually going. Oh. That came out of nowhere. I'm not dying. Yeah, I don't know if that's just what they've put on the concept art or if that's what they're actually going to do. I don't know why they've done it. But I do. I don't. No, I don't. Anyway, they could have done it because if they use the same restraints on different coasters, then it's easier to maintain them and make the same parts and stuff. But we don't know what they're going to use on T-Rexes at the moment, so yeah. Intamin, I'm assuming they're going to keep using the ones they've debuted on Taron for a while because they look good and there's no reason to change them. And the same thing with Vekoma. B&M will keep doing stupid things and put vest restraints on all of their roller coasters apart from the hypers. Speaking of B&M, I'm giving them one last chance to get good. Why? Because Candymonium's first test run looks absolutely amazing, and I'm willing to give B&M a chance to... I'm going to give them a chance because this ride looks really good. If it's only running well because they haven't activated the trims or something, and they use the trims when it's running, then I will hate B&M forever. That's it. Oh, this is way longer than I wanted. Okay, I've made a long video. It's going to take a lot of effort. Please appreciate it. You know what would be some good appreciation? Not losing subscribers. There you go. Thanks. Get out of my room.